Hi there, thanks for joining me to another installment of 'Tis the Season. I'm continuing work on Mrs Fezziwig's book, and I've got quite a bit done behind the scenes here. I have been sewing lace onto the edges of the signatures. Hold on, let's close, that's number 6. Let's close that up. And just checking out the profile of what will be the text block. And I felt like there was something missing here because the way this lace here worked out on the page, because I use, of course, bits and pieces of thrifted lace or lace that's been gifted to me, and they just get used in a willy-nilly way most often. And so in this case, these two arches were higher up, and to me, to my eye, it looked unbalanced, and I needed something down here. So that's what I'm working on right now, but I do have some other things that I'm working on. So let's see how much we can get done in 30 minutes here today. And my way to balance out this lace is to add this little piece of lace right down here. See what I mean? How? Let me move this and I'll explain this in a moment. So there was the piece of lace that I opted to use. I do have lots of it, but if I started balancing the lace, I was going to lose some of it, and I misspoke when I said I have lots of it. I have a nice amount of it, but I was going to start, there was going to be too many snippets that just get cut off and unused. And anyhow, I don't believe that a junk journal should be too perfect, so I'm quite comfortable with that in a way. But I do want to balance the profile. And that means this, in a way, will balance it, at least in my eye. I don't know. You may think otherwise. Let me make sure I've got that correct. I do. That's the outside. But when I put it there, I thought I should take the opportunity right now while I can and maybe put a little collage here. I haven't collaged yet in Mrs. Fezziwig's book. So I thought, let's collage, and that'll be the first one in. And I also want to look through and see if there's anywhere that I want to do any kind of stamping. I'm umming a lot today. Any kind of stamping, because now's the time, for me at least, to get the stamping done better. My art glitter glue every once in a while decides it's going to do what, there we go, what Fabri-Tac and 3-in-1 is known to do, volcano out the top. So I think that means it's time to maybe bust open this bottle. I have these, look how nasty they look, but they're still good. And I still have lots of other bottles, and if necessary, I will resort to them if I have to. Other empty bottles that I can refill, because I have big bottles of art glitter glue, and I just refill these little old ones. Okay, so what I decided to do, at first I was just going to put this little lady here. I was watching Wishes and Weeds estate haul the other day. Nancy over at Wishes and Weeds. And one of the things she got in her estate haul, I thought, I've got that. And it's this book here, the full color Victorian vignettes and illustrations. And it's full of Victorian scrap that you can fussy cut. And because when she leafed through it, when she went through it and showed us, it gave me a chance to see, oh, hold on, that could be Christmassy, that could be Christmassy, so then I had to haul it out, and I found a few that I'm going to use. This little lady is one of them, and I thought maybe she's Isabel Fezziwig when she was little. So then I thought maybe I would do that, and then I thought I can't leave it just as that. So then I thought, how can I still try to incorporate a little bit of the original text block into the book, even though Dombey and Son has nothing to do with A Christmas Carol, and especially Mrs. Fezziwig. And the way I can do that is by incorporating some fussy cuts into the not fussy cuts, but using it as backgrounds and that. Do you know what I mean? So this is, I'm just giving this a little better profile, or around the edge, a little bit of fussy cut. That's the word I'm looking for. This is from wrapping paper, this little holly. I wanted something flat, and the holly that I have from Tim Holtz is not flat. So this is the chapter page from Dombey and Sons. So you can see right there, Dombey and Son. And I actually want to leave that visible so that it's evident that I used a little bit of the book. There we go. Back into the new book. And you gotta work quickly with art glitter glue. It dries so fast. There we go. So I like that. It's one of those collages that you have to do carefully because there's going to be so many pieces to it. All right, a little bit of glue stick because this is really old paper, and art glitter glue, you'll still see the lines from the art glitter glue on that paper. There we go. And I already inked around the edges of it just to make it stand out a bit more. It would be one thing to say, well, to make it look older, it's old paper. But it's not the edge of the paper. The edge of the paper is indeed yellowed, but I ripped that off. So now I'm just going to go near the edge, but sort of give it a little frame. There we go. And because there's so much lace, I want this in here. Because there's so much lace in this journal that I have already sewn into place, so it's not going anywhere. That's already going to bulk up the open side of the signatures. So I'm going to try my best, the things that I do with this book, to make it look Christmassy, because a lot of the scrapbook paper that I do have that's Christmas scrapbook paper really isn't old-fashioned Christmas. It's a lot of it is really modern. So if I was doing like a little golden book or a child's Christmas one, it would be really appropriate for that. But so I'm really, really miserly with my with the scrapbook paper I have that just simply looks like it would be from old Victorian times, like this sheet here that I've been using and saving bit by bit. Now this I can use my art glitter glue with. I could use the other glue stick if I wanted, but this one will be fine because it's going through several layers. There we go. And let's put this little young lady down here so that she now adds to the Christmassy feeling of this little book. There, and then now I want to put this right at the very edge. I want it to stick out quite far because this bigger lace sticks out quite far. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to use, because it's fabric, I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. And I want it to stick out a bit on the bottom. Sorry, I'm at the bottom of the screen here. A bit on the bottom and quite a bit over the edge. There we go. And that should be enough. And it really won't need any sewing down, although I still could sew it. I'm not going to. This is really stiff. I had used it on something else and changed my mind and was able to pull it off before it dried. But the nice thing is that the art glitter, the Fabri-Tac, or else 3-in-1, whatever it was I used, when it dried, it made it really nice and stiff. And I actually rather like it. There we go. So I like that. That's perfect. So there's a nice little artistic overlap there. And when I take this out, I like the balance with to the eye. It's just me. Probably too fussy for my own good. Uh-oh. See, I do this to myself all the time. I used my glue stick and I've glued this to the back of this page. Let go. There, that one's safe. Let's see if we can get this one off. Yay. I do that to myself. I bet you guys saw me doing it and were screaming at your screen. Catherine, don't put that down. You just glue. Oh, she put the paper on. Oh well. Hope you're doing well. It's very cold and very overcast here. Oh, if you ever have dried glue that you want rid of, give a soft eraser a go at it and see if it will roll it off. Because usually 9 times out of 10, unless you've used your finger and smushed it into the paper, if it's dried, an eraser, a soft eraser, will usually roll it right off. There we go. Now I'm happy. I like that it sticks out a bit at the bottom. That will pay off in the end because I have some lace sticking out the bottom here, and now that will give a little balance. I'm going to want some lace sticking out the top, and I'm thinking I'm going to use this. Not very often I use white, but I'm either going to use this or I might use this. This is now, this was white, I tea dyed it, so that's why it's now this color. But I'm thinking now this is a little more appropriate for the size of this book. So I will find somewhere to put that in the meantime. Now I want to put this somewhere. That's from the same page of contents for Dombey and Son. And I'm going to use it at some point as part of a collage. Like, I found another thing out of that book. There's an old Father Christmas, and you know, he might be cute along there and make a collage. And then anyone who hasn't seen this video wouldn't know. They'd just think, oh, some old paper. And but you and I will know that that was actually from the text block. So I worked yesterday on making a, I guess this one's big enough to be a cabinet card. I just thought maybe this was, this looked like Mr. Fezziwig when he was a little bit older. Maybe he'd lost a little bit of weight by then, as we sometimes do as we age. I don't know about you, but golly, I find that my appetite is, the older we get, my husband and I, we can go to restaurants now and share a meal. We don't need a whole meal to ourselves anymore. We're like those little couples you see in restaurants, and you worry that oh no, they can't afford a dinner because they're sharing. They're both eating off the plate. That's my husband and I, but it's purely because we can't finish what they bring to us. So I used my usual method of gluing the picture to chipboard and then gluing that to whatever's going to be the background. And I try my best to find paper that looks like it would be carte de visite or cabinet card kind of paper in the background. They're usually really subtle and very pretty, and they usually say the photographer's name and address and that, but in this case it's just pretty, and that's faint enough that this could be journaled on if the person wants to. So he's looking rather handsome. I'm going to, because with age, those corners would not be sharp corners anymore. So you can save your sanding block time by just nipping the corner off before you go at your little card with your sanding block. Now, I will tell you where I got this from is, again, over at Wishes and Weeds. Nancy found a book at a book sale called Prince, and it's a book, and all it is old photos and old carte de visite and cabinet cards, and it's old pictures that always have a dog in it. I think it's just a dog. I don't recall seeing any cats, but I'm not going to rule that out. Anyhow, it was one of the very few times I immediately went online and I thought, I need this book, and you can still get it. So I ordered it immediately because I had to have it. And then it immediately went on my shelf and I hadn't touched it. So now I've done the first cut, and that means from now on I have to use it. So So he was the first one out, and he is going to be Mr. Fezziwig. And I thought he also is big enough that he could be used here and there as a journaling card to write on, and then move him over and write by using this side. I'm not sure I'd want to use this side, because if you press too hard with your pen, you might, mind you, the whole point is for it to look old and worn. I am going to pause right now and sand this, and that is just really, really unexciting, time consuming. So I will be right back, and this will all be sanded, because you've all watched me sand things before, and we don't need to do it again. So here we go. Okay, so we've got, this is all nice and sanded. Where we snipped those corners, they're nice and rounded now. And I just want to give a little bit of aging to the edges, but not too much. I like, I'm worried if I'm too vigorous, you're not going to see that there really was a white frame around the edge of this picture. So, or who knows, maybe the Fezziwigs also had a son, and this was Fezziwig Jr., who took over the business from his father. I think that's part of the fun of having the mystery of someone else's commonplace book that somehow, by serendipity chance, lands in someone's lap, and you try and figure out who owned this, and you know, was it special to them? Who was this person in their life? I had to do that with a lot of things in my great-grandmother's Bible. There were things that just didn't add up why she saved it. And one of them, there was a picture of a young lady, and I thought, is that one of the daughters who died young? You know, is that her? And then I was able to figure out the writing on the back of the picture, and no, it wasn't the daughter. It was the person's signature, and she had given the photo to my mother's uncle, and there were a few things from the uncle when he was a little boy that he had got in Sunday school. Anyhow, long story short, I finally figured out that the mystery woman was actually my mom's uncle's Sunday school teacher. Maybe she had eyes for him. I don't know. Maybe he was older and a young man, and who knows? I should check and see the name. I know her name. Oh, I should check and see who his wife eventually became. I've got all that. Now, wouldn't that be fun if it turned out that there was actually a romance there? I made a huge mistake on one that I was making once, one of these cards. I thought, oh, I know what I'll do, because sometimes I'll take the pad and I'll just tap, tap, tap along the edge. And I thought, oh, I'm going to use this one because it's a really, really dark brown. And I thought, I'll be able to get this done. Well, this one's so juicy that it squished out over the edges and it ruined both sides. And there was much wailing and lamenting and gnashing of teeth, let me tell you, that day. Because these things, these faux cartes carte de visite. There's my poor French accent. They're quite time consuming, so you want them to work out. There we go. There he is, looking handsome. So that will go into the book. Now, something else I want to do is, because we have a few now, we have this older one, so maybe this will be the son. See the similarity? You just never know. That looks like an Irish face to me. Anyhow, this picture that I'm saying with my artistic license is Mrs Fezziwig. Fits right in there quite nicely. And this actually did come from an old book that held carte de visite. And it would hold 4 per page. So I cut up the pages to use these as windows or frames. So I think I shall be finding a way to fit that one in there. Now, this could very well, these could very well be ready now for, how am I for time? 26 minutes. To get sewn into a text block. Don't you love those tassels? I feel like Mrs. Fezziwig would be a tassel-y kind of lady. I do want, oh, and also plus because there's just still a nice amount of pinch on this side. And that'll give me time to have a little bit more fun. I do want to jazz up. This is a little plain for my liking. So I have this ribbon that I have been coveting for years and using very sparingly because I just love it. But I think what I'm going to do is run a strip there. A strip here and a strip down there. So I want to give myself a bit of room. So I will trim it here. And then up here, I will trim it there. And we'll just put a little bit on there. And then I'm sure I will figure out something to put here. I still have the title that says Mr. Fezziwig's Ball. So I might use the title. Now this needs to come down just a little bit to fit around that circle. There. I could have done, if I had planned ahead of time, I could have done this earlier. And actually glued this underneath. There, that fits better. I'm just eyeballing it. I glued it so that it ran underneath. But I wasn't thinking, so, oh well. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. That will give me a bit of wiggle time. Come on, you're thickening up again. I have a feeling I've done one too many acetone nail polish remover shortcuts with this bottle. All right. There we go. And let's go there. And then what I want to do very quickly is turn it over, because I just want that little bit of lace sticking out. Let's see. Perfect. No one will be the wiser. There. Yep. Okay, I'm happy. Now, is there any glue on this before I set it back down? All right. Now, let's see. I wonder if I used a marker. But then cut up above the marker. I hope that makes sense. I'll just use that as my guide. There we go. Let's see. Yep, that worked. Could have done that in the first place. But that's just too logical. Let's move you up a bit. There, that's a little more snazzy for Mrs. Fezziwig. I don't think I showed you what that is, so I'll show you that before I say goodbye this morning and get back to work here. I don't want to get any Fabri-Tac on that green border. Now, let's see. Oh, we did good. We done good. Tweezers. I can't grab it, and I want to pull it down a little bit. There we go. Any glue there? No. Okay. Phew. Flip that over and trim this off. I'm already stumped what to make for dinner. Ugh. Better open up the freezer. See what we got. That looks nice. Here, let's put the signature inside and take a look. That's much better. Let's pretend it's finished and we'll take that off. That looks much snazzier. And then maybe I'll find something pretty to put in these corners, or even stamping. Do I dare? You'll see the next time we get together. What I did here, and it's already glued in, so I can't show you. I got this out of a book, and it's a menu. And I thought maybe she was having the menu printed up because, again, Fezziwig, he owned his own company. He had money, and he was generous with his money, obviously happy to throw Christmas parties for his staff. But maybe perhaps she was having parties at some point in the Christmas season for family and guests and business associates, and had menus printed up. So I thought that I noticed that these were holly and berries, and so, but it's also a pocket. And I think what I'm going to do is, this is one of the few times that I use scans. These are my mother's, these are scans of my mother's recipe cards. I have the original for her pumpkin pie and her pie crust. So I'm going to cut those out and rough them up a bit so that they look like the ones I have. And then I think I'm going to put them in. They'll fit in there perfectly. And I'll put them in behind the menu, and maybe Mrs. Fezziwig will hand to the cooks and say, here, I want this, and here's the recipe I want you to use. And maybe she was picky about what she served to her guests. So there we go. So thanks for joining me. I have a few more areas that I think I'm going to do my best to use a bit more of the Dombey and Sons just as a background. I've got a little tag here that I'm going to create and then make a Christmas collage on this. So I've still got a tear across there. I don't need it that long. I also want to find somewhere to put this. This was on the lining of the text block when we took it apart. So I want to fit that into a collage as a background somewhere in the book. Put it back into the book. I also want to put this back into the book. That's some of the mull from when we took it apart, the leftovers. And I also still have the original header and footer, or headband and footband from the text block. So it's going to go back, but that we can't do until I sew these together. So there's a very good chance we might not get back together again until these are all sewn into a text block and are put into the book. If I work for a day or two without turning on the camera, we may get back together again, and you'll see a bit of a surprise, but there will still be work to do. So, and hopefully we'll hear very soon that Canada Post is either not on strike, because right now it's looking like they're going to today announce that they are on strike. They have the right to as of today. Or else that they have already come to an agreement. Let's hope. Otherwise, books are going to have to wait until Canada Post comes back. Alrighty. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me, especially if you're still here after all that chit-chat and chatter and wandering on and off topic. And so go out there and have a good day. That's my plan too. I'm going to do my best. And we'll get together soon. Take care. Bye.